Hello everyone, I am Renowned Zero, and we're back talking about a nonsense topic right about now, just to kind of go through my experience that I've seen to be having recently when it comes to a debate I recently had with a channel by the name of Player Essence. Now, first things first, the first thing this clown intended to do to try to drum up his audience, of course, was to put the title of Grifter Sympathizer inside of the title, which you can see right there. You can also see that the video is actually unlisted right now as of, even right now, one day later, the video is still unlisted. He claims that there wouldn't be any clips that I could absolutely pull out. There are plenty of clips I could easily pull out, but one in particular, because of course during the stream, I asked him about, what people he would consider griftubers. He obviously wouldn't name names, but it seems to me like after the fact that, the stream was over, or at least at the very least I was gone, because of course I work a real job, unlike you guys work this job. I work a job in the real world, not YouTubing. YouTubing is not my full-time job. YouTubing is my hobby that I make videos on the side. So you were on here talking about how your moderator actually was the one that said it. Let's listen to the clip really quick.
And it's unfortunate. Who is this hypnotic person? Another channel that engages in grifting from time to time.
So right there, you couldn't say this live while I was on stream, as I pressed you on it multiple times. At the same time, while I was explaining as well that Vara Dark was the person that plays all the games that she criticizes, you intended to say things that, like, she wouldn't date me. Like, you're trying to throw me off. I've also heard recently you kept bringing up the fact that allegedly Grums stole breast milk. You seem to have brought this up multiple times for some odd reason. You brought up the fact that he was a bad father. You have the stream unlisted. I wonder why that is. Let's continue.
Yes. Who is this guy defending this YouTuber so much? Because it's a senpai, Inferno Fuck.
So apparently Hypnotic is my senpai according to these guys, simply because I'm defending the fact that you couldn't even name what a grifter was or what the real grift was, when you've literally exposed yourself as showing that opinions for you are grifts when opinions are not grifts. Giving an opinion on something is not a grift. But let's continue.
Everybody has a senpai. Sorry, why is Renown defending this guy so much? Because it's a senpai. What's the channel name?
See, unlike these guys, I actually talked to plenty of other YouTubers. It is also interesting how this guy tried to put words in my mouth, claiming that I'm racist, while platforming 3 black creators, including one that is starting a brand new comic book universe, and one of them I actually bring on quite frequently. But and again, my channel, I defend literal people from lying about another black creator, which is part of my content as well. So I don't see how I could be racist by saying we don't like the social political identity politics pushed to the forefront of us over the storylines, in games, right? So how does that make any sense? Let's continue.
Aren't these just games, guys? No, they're serious business apparently. If there's a black woman, or if there's a chin, or if there's a trans person, or like. By the way, I saw the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. There's a Twitter channel literally called Lara Croft's Chin, and it's just a zoom.
So of course, giving your opinion once again on a trailer is terrible to these people.
Of Lara's chin.
Is the grift stuff going to be part of the streams going forward?
On this stuff, and it's really
I feel like it's been a recurring theme past few weeks.
Elemental
hero.
So even your own chat is asking you if the grift content is going to be a recurring theme, since it's been part of your content apparently for the last few weeks, because you're supposed to be a channel that just talks positively about video games, and the only way I've recognized you is on the Spawncast podcast, which we'll get into why I'm bringing that up.
The Shadow Link Dragon, but what about the Witcher books? I don't know, Elemental, you tell me about them, since I expect you can read Polish, and then you can tell me all about those books, huh? You can come on and tell me, and you can come on and just tell me just how. But hope you can read Polish, buddy. So again, that's not a serious thing. That's just not a serious argument.
I also want to do a $10. Some people heard the message. No, I don't think the grip stuff's going to be like constant going forward. It was just that it was something that was brought up to my attention, and it was too good of an opportunity to miss. to not talk about.
Oh, it was too good of an opportunity to miss, so you decided to go for the lowest hanging fruit rather than having an actual conversation with the people that mostly do this. It's interesting to me how that works.
About it, you know, in this situation, but no, it's not going to be, like a constant thing. Concern Ninja. Thank you for the.
Afraid chat is going to start going after each other like the great ninja wars of the past.
We've got,
I already seen it tonight
why
a
is this
little
guy
bit.
falling so
Is
hard
this
on a
the
Witcher
new
sword
Ninja
when he's
Village?
never played an
Of
actual
course
game?
it's your stream,
That
so
is a
you
good
do you.
question, since he
Just
I've literally never fallen on any type of Witcher sword. I literally started the conversation by saying I've never played a Witcher game, so I didn't tackle the said conversation surrounding the look of Ciri in the cinematic trailer for Witcher 4. See, what you're doing is you're rewriting history. Meanwhile, you have the stream live that people can go watch, where I actually say that before we've actually go into the conversation of that. And your boy here has the stream unlisted, the full stream unlisted.
Just stay aware of the energy this stuff brings.
Probably shouldn't. This guy is asleep, not woke, Vito Libido says. Belfast Sky, the original Final Fantasy VII, had stuff in it that would be considered woke today. On the main villains in it, it was they were a capitalist corporation, and the heroes were eco-terrorists.
Yeah.
Just quick pop.
No, that's incorrect. See, the problem with clowns like this and clowns like you is the fact that you think old stories that were written well, that would be put out today, would be considered woke. No. If Final Fantasy VII, the original, was put out today, nobody would consider it woke because there's no actual woke stuff in it, and the story is written well. Final Fantasy VII seems to have harbored one of the most lovable and liked characters, black characters I should say, with Barrett Wallace. Still to this day, people defend the fact that that character is so beloved, and it wasn't even created by a Western gaming company. It was created by an Eastern gaming company.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Again, a game that is genuinely could be considered quote-unquote woke. But again, I don't necessarily think when they say woke, I don't think it's that deep, Melphis. I don't think it means leftist, or I don't think it means like left-leaning. I think it means some other things, which we kind of touched on.
You really didn't touch on it because there was nothing really to be touched on, considering that this debate was only supposed to be about Dragon Quest sales and what is a grifter. Because you claim people are grift tubers or grifting, but yet you really never answered what the grift was, outside of someone giving an opinion and then changing an opinion later on, which giving an opinion is not grifting.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing. He says that, oh yeah, I can already tell that Renan is going to flex on Twitter that he roasted you, OJ, but deep down inside he's embarrassed. I don't think he's going to flex that he roasted me on Twitter. I don't know what clips I doubt he's going to pull up any clips that do that. Another concern.
You doubt that I could pull up any clips that could do that? I could easily pull up the clip where you literally said that you don't have to talk to the other side or ask them what games they've played previously in franchises that you claim that they don't care about. I could pull that clip up. I could pull up the fact that you consistently brought up the fact that Grums allegedly stole breast milk. You brought that up probably about 10 times in this entire 5-hour stream. I could easily pull up the fact that you decided to send personal attacks and expose yourself for having this weird hate boner towards Hypnotic and Grums, especially when you bring up the fact that supposedly Grums is a bad father, which were two topics, the breast milk and the bad father parts, that were irrelevant to the entire conversation.
Ninja, he did another $10 dono, and yeah, man, it's not going to be a thing, going forward. I mean, we talk about games, like we're always going to talk about games normal. Like I said, it was too good of an a thing to pass up in terms of discussing it. But no, it's not going to be like we're going to be having debates all day on
this is not typical.
Yeah.
That's because you don't debate. You try to go for gotchas, which you thought you had. Oh, and I could also pull up the fact that you said, oh, I'm not going to go after or call out a Kickstarter for a game that's only 2 years late. You're only going to call out Grums' thing because it's 8 years late, which is hilarious because I'm about to show you why it's hypocritical because, again, you're a hypocrite.
For either channel.
Yeah, it's not a typical thing. Like I said, we ran into it on Twitter. He agreed to come on. It's a special little thing, something different to kind of have a little bit of content where people don't always agree on everything, where it's not always just like, hey, these people...
It's not always an echo chamber. We get it. Yes, I understand.
Agree on this or that, to bring in some different perspectives. We heard his perspective. His perspective was nonsense. It was trash. Like we all thought it was going to be, or, I don't know how many good points he made or if he made.
My perspective was trash. Meanwhile, there were plenty of clips I can pull roll-up of you looking like an absolute fool, like the ones I just named.
Any good points? I'm not sure if he did. I'd have to go back and look, but there wasn't really much there. But I think at the end of the day, one thing that I feel that is very important to talk about is we saw what that side is about, right? Like
you really didn't see what any side was about. Because again, you won't actually talk to the people that you consistently complain about. You'll sit there and assume their positions based on things they write in tweets and them not talking about previous games and franchises they talk about, like The Witcher and Dragon Age.
Don't really need to do anything else. We saw what happened right there, Concerned Ninja. We saw what happened with that. We saw the situation. We saw the problem. And at the end of the day, you look and you see what happened in that discussion. And right now, we can just write it all off. We can write all that off. I don't have anything to say. That's why I said, I think there was a couple times I said, I don't have anything else to say to you. You know?
You've also tried to make fun of the fact that I looked up one thing. Meanwhile, you could literally go into the stream and see that you've looked up multiple things during the discussion.
Like, you're ridiculous. You know, this is a ridiculous thing. I have no more to say to you. Overall, at one point, I said, this is done. Like, and that's really where it comes down to. I'm not really going to be discussing anything else, and I doubt that any of these other GriftTubers are going to discuss stuff with me. So I highly...
Yeah, so you're still, and even towards the end of the stream, you were still calling people GriftTubers, because you won't specifically name said GriftTubers, but I already exposed the fact that one of the said GriftTubers that you seem to have a problem with is Hypnotic for some weird reason. It must be the fact that people listen to him and people can relate to the stuff he's talking about, because, you know, people are actual gamers that play games based on the franchises that people call out nonsense for.
I doubt it, unless it's like I said. And if we do, I'll probably just do it only on Flipping the Switches channel. But this one I wanted in particular because I knew he would bring up those other people, and we crushed a lot of their viewpoints in the first place, and that's what I want.
You didn't crush a lot of their viewpoints because I didn't really have much of their viewpoints. I had a couple of them, but not all of them. And again, you brought up the fact that you were talking about how they don't really care about franchises, and I asked you, did you ever ask these people if they've played previous games in the franchises? And you said, I'm not going to talk to those people. I just assume that they don't because of things they type in tweets and the things that they don't bring up in their videos, like the previous games from the franchise.
I want to get back to just games. This was one of the things to do to crush these stupid viewpoints. These dumb things that these people bring up. I think we crushed them, and I think we crushed them pretty bad. That it wasn't about the actual games, that it was about the character, it was about the color and all that. I think we proved that.
It was never about the color. You brought up the race of the character in Forspoken, not me. You brought up that and decided you tried to call me racist when I never brought up the race of the character. I brought up the fact that people don't like games that push the socio-political and identity politics propaganda to the forefront of the game and put it above the story of the game. You brought up the race of the character, not me. And as I said before, I've platformed multiple black creators on my channel, and I literally make videos calling out the lies against another black creator. So for you to sit up there and again use this leftist talking point bullshit that you do when it comes to race of characters, and you also said, oh, Forspoken was that game that pushed away the audience that they tried to widen the net on, right? All of that's available in the stream if people want to actually watch that and listen to the nonsense you spew. But I want to bring up an important point of what I said, something I said in this debate. I brought up this Kickstarter right here for Armed Fantasia and Pennyblood. These are the spiritual successors to Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts, respectively, two popular IPs back on the PS2 era. Now, these people have the nostalgia bait for these games because they are spiritual successors to popular IPs from the PS2 era. These people, based on what I can find, have raised more money, more than 4 times the amount of money than Grums has ever raised for his game Ember. And yes, I'm gonna just say it flat out. I think it's terrible that Grums hasn't delivered on a product. He tried to call me a Grums sympathizer, and when I told him I've called out Grums, he had to have a rebuttal on that statement because he was wrong. Because he's literally assuming my position before I even make it. But what's really important is that this Kickstarter has merchandise for physical copies and digital copies for a game that isn't complete. For a game that isn't complete. That we don't know when it's going to be completed. We don't have a release date. We have a release month and year of March 2025. And you're selling merchandise. Oh, I wonder where I've seen this before. I wonder where I have seen this before in the indie comics space. Oh yes, it would be Ethan Van Sciver once again, because he is an individual who is selling a comic book that isn't completed, and yet he's making merchandise for said comic book that isn't completed. Selling merchandise to his audience for a comic book that is not in anyone's hands, no one's read it, and it's not complete. Oh, I wonder where I've seen this before. By the way, unfortunately, they haven't found a publisher in 2 years. Over 2 years that this Kickstarter has been up. They have not found a publisher. But they just recently put out a prequel game so they can hold you over, I guess, while they self-publish this game. This $20 Steam game. Mind you, they split the profits for $375,000 per, which means both games got $1.25 million. Now, if you look at what the conversion rates were for US dollars to yen, you will see it's somewhere between 140 and 145 yen per $1. So that would be easy to do and basically tell you they've made close to $2.5 million. And you're not going to call out this company for not providing a product. You're not going to call out the fact that they're selling physical copies of their game that isn't released yet. Digital copies of their game that isn't released yet. That we don't know whether or not it's going to be completed because it's a Kickstarter funded project, not a project created under a corporation that has the money to produce it. You also have podcasted with a literal self-admitted grifter. A grifter called Dreamcast Guy who got called out by Paris, a guy in the gaming industry who has admitted himself that he makes Xbox bad videos to pay the bills. That guy. The same guy who said this, right? We're going to give you part of this clip from this video from Fratanga Plays.
BK merger. Desperately. After he rooted so hard to prevent Microsoft from getting ABK. And it's absolutely hilarious because a guy will make one video the day before saying Microsoft is broke.
Right there, video.
And the next day he'll make this video, and
that says PlayStation buys From Software. Well, kinda. Sony and Kadokawa deal.
Wondering why isn't the title Sony is broke? I mean, never mind the fact that the guy calling Microsoft broke couldn't even afford a PS5 Pro, but
you know how he afforded a PS5 Pro? He sold his used PS5 to his girlfriend for $500 so he could afford a PlayStation 5 Pro.
The optics here are hilarious. I mean, Dreamcast Guy knows what he's doing. He's probably having the time of his life trolling people, making things this obviously one-sided. There's no...
We also have this. Here we go. Let's listen to this clip from, again, oh no, it's Alex, shout out, saying PlayStation fanboy Grifter thinks Xbox failed. This is the same guy who said for many, many years that Xbox is dead.
Gamers, Dreamcast Guy here, and today we're talking about Xbox because they've now officially confirmed that every single game that has ever come to the console is now going to be ported to the PlayStation 5. The Xbox is dead, which means I was completely right about it, but of course I'm not happy, but for the last couple years...
You have never been right about it.
I've been talking about the fact that it's been painfully obvious to me, and I feel like it's been obvious to a lot of people, except for the Xbox fanboys, that Xbox is going third party.
Now, did you pick up on that? Did you hear that? Because I heard it and I had to sit back and think about it multiple times. No one has officially announced anything about Xbox being dead. No one. Not a single one. And no one has officially announced anything about every single game going to every single platform or every single game going to PlayStation. Honestly, I think it personally should happen. Every game should be on every platform. In fact, I said so as much that I grew up in the 90s very poor and unable to buy every console and game and missing out because a certain game had to be on a specific box back then. And that was back then in the 90s when I said I shouldn't have to worry about exclusivity because that's a really bullshit tactic to lock away a product that I want to play behind another $250 to $500.
Now this is an argument I agree with.
A piece of plastic because it has blast processing. Yeah, it was stupid then, it's stupid now. The thing is though, nowadays especially, every console is made by the same manufacturer, AMD. Every console has practically the same pieces of hardware, some small variances between the others, but they are practically almost identical. Practically every game now also uses Unreal Engine 5, or many are moving to that in the future to streamline the process. So, let's think about this logically. Every console is made by the same manufacturer.
So yeah, You're literally talking about literal grifters. When you've been around literal grifters like Dreamcast guy. But then all of a sudden, 3 hours ago, he puts out a video called Why Am I Actually Excited About Xbox in 2025? If Xbox is dead, if Xbox has been dead for the last 5 years, apparently according to people that have studied this guy, how are you excited now for Xbox after completely saying that Xbox is dead? In a most recent video too. In a very recent video, you've said Xbox is dead. So if you want to talk about literal grifting and grifters, why are you not calling out this indie developer? Why are you not calling out this guy from 3 days ago saying Xbox is broke, 0 Xbox games, Xbox is dead, right? Saying Xbox is dead. Literally right there in the title. Saying Xbox is dead, but you're not saying anything about this guy who has been a self-admitted grifter. Has been called out as a literal grifter. But you're not going to talk about that because they're on your side of the aisle. Okay. So again, you're a hypocrite. All of you guys are hypocrites. You're all in the same bullshit echo chamber of, if you can't have an opinion if you didn't play the game. And I said in the live stream, in that debate or discussion, that I call out any type of censorship, no matter whether or not I played the series or not, which I have played Dragon Quest, but I have called out the garbage censorship. No matter what type of censorship it was, I was calling out the censorship because I don't think any game should be censored. I think every game should be distributed the way it was intended to be distributed. It should be playable the way it was intended to be played. Without anything censored, any crappy localizations should not be happening. It includes all games. There should be no game that should have a crappy translation because a bunch of woke weirdos, a bunch of losers, a bunch of blue hair, pink haired, whatever nonsense they are for the day, is saying, oh, I don't like this, I want to change this. And that's not how it should be. And the fact that he's all about, again, Sony owning Kadokawa, when it would have been a literal monopoly on the anime industry, the streaming platforms, since Sony owns Crunchyroll and Funimation and the like, but he was not okay with the quote-unquote monopoly of Xbox buying out ABK. But you want to talk about literal grifters when you've been literally around a literal grifter. You've had literal grifters around you, and you can't even tell the difference between someone who's actually a grifter and someone just simply giving their opinion on something they're talking about. So absolutely miss me with that BS. Thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. This will be the only video I'm going to be doing on this, unless some nonsense pops off, but more than likely, I'm just going to keep it to just this video, and that'll be it. And I'll be back on the normal type of content that I do on this channel, but I thought this was absolute bullshit that people want to sit here and think they're going to press you on your gamer status. Like, no one owes you anything. No one owes you anything. And for you to sit here and talk about grifters, right? When you have literal grifters around you that have never seen you call out, and literal Kickstarters that are taking people's money for merchandise for something that's not released, is absolute garbage. So miss me with that BS. Smash like if you liked the video, comment below what you feel about this, subscribe for more, hit the bell for notifications, set the bell to all, that way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video or go live on this channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.